I'm a little road stinker.
Are you ready for this?
Play the Zap to It game. Billy and Mandy magically clean house.
I'm always talking about cartoons, but I've hardly ever brought up all those official Flash games online based on cartoons. When you didn't have the cash for a gamer PC to run graphic-intensive CD-ROMs, Shockwave Flash games based on kids' cartoons were the 48th best thing. 49th if you count 3D Pinball. And hey, it's Halloween, so why not look into all the seasonal-based games? Or it might not be Halloween when you're watching this. It could be July. Why does that matter? It doesn't. None of this matters. The first Halloween Flash game I gotta bring up is Billy and Mandy's Haramscarum, based on the Halloween episode Jacked Up Halloween.
And it will be Halloween every night, forever!
Now that's what I call Halloween spirit.
Sort of like Mega Man, Haramscarum's a platformer shooter where you go after evil Halloween spirits. You can switch between Billy and Mandy, who each carry a different weapon depending on what you pick up. These so-called weapons are just the typical things any original prankster on Mischief Night would carry. Eggs, toilet paper, banana peels, dynamite, all the things you'd be able to get past the TSA. I used to play this a lot, but it does have its faults with the hit detection not doing its job. Even back then, I thought most of these games were pretty buggy and had nothing on console games. They are free, so what did I expect? A mechanic I can get behind are some of the projectiles can only be thrown one at a time, unless you hit a target. Hitting the target allows for rapid fire, as long as you keep hitting the target. That's something done in a lot of 2D retro shooters, but I don't think I've ever seen in a modern 3D game. It does make for a rewarding mechanic. I'd love to see a first-person shooter do that, if there are any that do. At the end of Haramscarum's levels, there's one of 3 bosses. I found the animation on this giant pumpkin to be way too good for a simple Flash game like this, but I remember it being a reused asset from the show itself.
Boy, oh boy, Jack, this is the best Halloween ever!
One little oddity I gotta bring up is the sound Mandy makes when in pain. That is not Mandy's voice. Or maybe she just got around to joining the Knights Who Say. It's still a fun game. Now, don't be fooled, Haramscarum does not feature any harems or scarums, whatever a scarum is. So, let's move on to the next game. How about I cover a newer one, Gumball's Haunted House Pranks. It's Pac-Man. Collect the dots and avoid the ghosts. A bit of a change-up as you have gravity to worry about, as you need to climb ladders to go vertical. I have to say, this is a pretty fun Pac-Man ripoff. Now, the ghosts aren't really ghosts, they're just normal people in costumes, which spoils about 90% of all Scooby-Doo media. The power-up in this game is a serum that turns Gumball into a real ghost, which horrifies the fake ghost from ever pranking again. This serum, I'm assuming, temporarily stops Gumball's heart, astral projecting him into ghost mode, all to scare his friends. That's pretty hardcore. Don't fuck with Gumball. Trick or Treat Beat, otherwise known as Kids Next Door Operation Trick or Treat. They're the exact same game, except one features separate cartoon stars crossing over, while the latter was re-released with the Kids Next Door exclusively, along with a promotion for the charity organization UNICEF, the charity that helps with disasters, mostly natural disasters. They have not once contacted me, so it's implied the stuff I've caused in my bed alone is not natural. Slightly related, anyone remember those commercials with Clay Aiken and Puffy Amiyumi Cartoon Network aired during the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunamis?
Give a little bit.
Give a little bit of your love to me.
Yeah, this network doesn't seem to do charity promotions anymore, so I guess they just stopped caring about the world. I'd shun them for it, but are we any different? For either of these games, you don't play as any of the cartoon all-stars. Each level instead has you 6 inches deep in the body of some nameless kid, exploring a dark, empty neighborhood collecting as much candy as possible. You switch between costumes, each with a different power. They sort of resemble those Funko Pops every nerd YouTuber with a bookshelf behind them has. The Frankenstein costume smashes through objects, Creature of the Black Lagoon swims, Dracula can turn into a bat and fly over stuff, but it cannot fly over water. Skeletons open locks, you get it? Skeleton key. And the witches get rid of ghosts. The ghosts don't harm you, they just block your path, so that somehow justifies transforming them into animals. Like, you could just say, excuse me, isn't Halloween said to be the time when spirits walk the earth? The nerve of this kid to come along to turn these ghosts into physical mortal frogs. Do they remain frogs and die and go to frog heaven? Assuming there is a frog heaven. What do frogs believe? How do frog brains function? Would the brain of a frog carry the memories and knowledge of a ghost it used to be who used to be human? Or will their physical brains dump out the knowledge it cannot memorize? By turning them into frogs, you have damned them. But I guess you needed your candy. So, trick or treat beat. I first thought you had to collect every bit of candy. It doesn't tell you exactly how much you need to collect until the clock runs out. So, you're just searching every corner waiting for the timer to end, or until you find that one bit of candy you missed. It should have given you the option of going to the next level once you collected enough, or stick around to find all the bonus items within the remaining time limit. Ignoring that minor flaw, this is a pretty fun puzzle game. They should re-release this on an app or something. There's another similar game on the site for Fosters entitled Scared Sweet. It's just like Trick or Treat Beat, but with a confusing isometric angle. Pressing left goes up left, right goes down right. These just never feel intuitive to me. Aw shit, that guy just punched a kid, what the fuck? The puzzle elements have been greatly dumbed down. Your imaginary friends are each mapped to a button. Eduardo lifts obstacles out of the way, Coco flips switches, and Blue erases bad imaginary friends from existence. If you can memorize 3 buttons, there is no challenge here. It's way too easy. It's even easier to just watch Mac die. Up yours, Mac. What made this video easier is Cartoon Network has its own section of Halloween games. You got Billy and Mandy right next to the newer stuff like Adventure Time or Shutter Speed. What's this? It has no connection to any show, judging by the dated Cartoon Network logo on the loading screen. This came out during their live-action phase when they showed stuff like R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour or some ghost hunting knockoff series called The Othersiders. This is not based on any show, it's just here, a horror game on a kid's site. But let's try it. Shutter Speed's a point-and-click sort of deal. Click to enter rooms and try to photograph ghosts. Don't you just love games when every room is locked, so you gotta enter the one open room to find a key to unlock another room that contains nothing but another key that opens another door that contains another key? Who needs to pay 15 bucks on eBay for Fatal Frame when you got this quality garbage? Included among the Halloween games is the Powerpuff Girls All Monsters Attack. Not really Halloween related, but it does have monsters and the girls in the Dynamo mech suit. This looks like it'd be a fighting game, but you're stuck in place with only 4 attacks, depending what arrow you press. Now that I think about it, this is just like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I mean, your one and only line of defense is dodging the other player's telegraphed attacks by hitting a direction in tandem with the control button. That works great if it weren't for, you know, control and the arrow button serving another function on my computer. That just minimizes all my windows. Now, this takes me back to 2004 or so. I remember when I had my old Windows XP, I was playing this Wonder Woman game, Curse of the Underworld. The punch button was mapped to the shift key. I could not play that game because spamming the shift key causes this window to pop up. Every time with that terrible Windows sound. You guys have 26 letters to use. Why use the shift and control key when they serve computer functions? But rest assured, spamming the special move is most effective in All Monsters Attack. If the monster interrupts your special, you can try it again. It doesn't drain your energy unless it actually fires. So technically speaking, it's a more balanced fighting game than Brawl. How many of you remember this one? Courage the Cowardly Dog in Creep TV. A very simple point-and-click game where Courage has to find Eustace and Muriel who've disappeared. Like anything from the series, I'm sure someone was creeped out by this shadowy ghost. Personally, I wasn't because I wasn't a pussy! This is a game for kids. It shouldn't take you longer than 15 minutes to complete. If it does take you longer than that, well, shit, man, I don't know what to tell you. Now, unlike the other Flash games that aim to recreate the style of the show they're based on, Creep TV chooses to have such a pleasing pixel art style reflecting the games it's inspired by. I wish these Flash games had credits as to who exactly designed them. I have never seen any sort of interview or publicity from the people who worked on these Shockwave Flash games. These were such big parts of people's childhoods, yet I know nothing about who made them. By the way, the creator of Courage himself, John R. Dilworth, emailed me recently to tell you all he's working on more animated shorts, one called Goose in High Heels. You can see a teaser for it on his YouTube channel, Stretch Films. We'll be back to more Shockwave games after these messages. Please don't leave. Well, I've covered Cartoon Network, but how about we go over to Nickelodeon's site with the Nick Clickamajigs. These weren't Flash games, just goofy interactive programs on the website. They're on the level of a dumb free iPhone app. It's a real interesting novelty. Before all those purposely stupid games on Steam like Goat Simulator, there wasn't much option for programs that dared to be stupid and pointless. Maybe a little artsy too. A few of these were even designed by the artist for Parappa the Rapper, Rodney Greenblatt.
That's a lot of headspace.
Here's one for the holidays, Trick or Treat.
Hello, may I offer you blah 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 blah.
The door knocks, you answer it, and get a different gag until it cycles through the same ones over after the programmer gave up and ran off with their slightly above minimum wage paycheck. I love that dated pre-rendered CG look. Some of these are real hard to find or even play. I had to download Shockwave, Flash, and the game files themselves and drag them to an old Safari browser to play these again. I gotta think, what to show off? Is there a Halloween-based Click-a-majig I can talk about?
Oh, hell no!
Not this again. For the unaware, here's the infamous black licorice game.
Thank you.
Just give the kids caramel, do not give them black licorice, ever. Wanna know what happens when you do?
Black licorice?
How about a nicer click-a-majig? The Bouncer. It's a creepy clown, bonk the nose, and it keeps on shooting balls that bounce around endlessly. I don't think this is even a game. I think this is just an MRI scan of someone's brain after snorting PCP. That's enough of that. You may be able to press the quit button, but the Bouncer will be awaiting your return. Just another prick at the door. Hey, an actual Flash game. SpongeBob SquarePants Boo or Boom? Which path will you choose? Before I play, let me read the overly long story and instructions I'm sure every single kid is going to read. It's Halloween and everyone but Plankton is happy. Nobody ever comes to his chum bucket Halloween as bash. SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy, or Squidward, you must controls set plumpsters in the neighborhood to blast away the Planko lanterns. It's Bomberman. That's all they have to say, or Bomberman meets Splatoon. Wherever the bomb explodes, it paints a set of tiles. The one who covers most of the field in their color wins. This is such a good mix of concepts. I say Bomberman should implement this into their own games. Please note, beyond the N64 games, I don't play Bomberman, so maybe they already did. When you think about the Viacom Corporation, Nick is not going to want their Spongy Boy and friends using actual bombs like the thing they're ripping off, so they're armed with what's called plumsters. Was that in an episode? These look like trash bags that explode, which is technically chemical warfare. I think by Geneva Convention standards, a regular bomb would be a more dignified death. Still, it's pretty fun. Let's finish this vid off with a cartoon not really affiliated with any channel. It's Garfield Scavenger Hunt, a point-and-click game where Garfield must traverse a haunted house where everyone is there to scare him. Don't let your scarometer fill up or you lose the game. It's kind of a cheap game where you're supposed to click on every object to find stuff, but these objects can either reveal a key item or scare Garfield. Good thing the game is very generous with how scared Garfield can get. Minus the very stiff arrow key input, it's more fun than the Courage Creep TV game, but still very easy on the puzzles. What's truly creepy about this game is the haunted house is decorated by someone obsessed with Garfield. There's nothing but paintings and passwords that relate to Garfield, and clearly whoever owns the house was waiting for him. That aspect is never acknowledged, but who cares when Garfield's on a mission? Why is Garfield risking sanity entering this creepy haunted house? Donuts. Donuts that have his own face on it and serve as a circle jerk of product placement. Does Garfield get any royalty checks from donut manufacturers using his likeness? Who knows? And why is Garfield so willing to eat donuts he found in an old safe or buried in a grave? Did you expect to see Garfield grave robbing someone over a few donuts? Homer Simpson, I could see him doing that. Maybe, but not Garfield. If you notice, his owner, John, is just hanging outside giving clues. Like, hey, do something. While the dog, Odie, is wrapped up in some weirdo's fetish web. You don't even save Odie in this game. Does Garfield even care about anybody? Well, you do save somebody. There's this guy trapped in the dungeon. All he wants are some muffins. You give him the muffins and somehow he escapes without a trace, but he does show up later as a decapitated head. Does Garfield care? Nah, Garf just wants his donuts. They even made a sequel to this game, which recycles the same map and other assets, but they made the product placement far less blatant. I see a lot of fans recommend this game to me while also bringing up the infamous jump scare. I will not allow screamers on this channel, but the game tells you to look closely at this painting, then freaks you out with this JPEG and a loud scream. Why would they do that? You got screamers, grave robbing, a creepy clown here that offers advice. Oh, and speaking of clowns, here's a scene from the cartoon that surprised me. I did not edit this.
Whoop-dee-doo, whoop-dee-doo.
People who sing like that should be drug out into the street and shot.
Yeah, Garfield's in favor of public executions. That's enough of these Halloween games. If I missed any, there's always next year. So, happy Halloween, or just happy Tuesday. One more video left in October. What's the next video gonna be? I don't know.
Nick.com's exploding with amazing stuff all on America Online. Go to AOL keyword Nick. It's easy. Right now, a kid is capturing Krabby Patties in the SpongeBob SquarePants 3D game. And another kid is helping to save the cyber universe with Agent Pixel. What else can you do right now? Whip up some witch's brew, send a scary e-card, and meet some totally creepy trick-or-treaters on Nick.com's Halloween Fright Site. Get on America Online to get all the Nick.com you need. AOL keyword Nick.